Yes, we are live on Thursday Night Live, Broken But Not Wasted Ministries. If it's Thursday night, if it's 7:30, yes, it's Thursday Night Live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this platform. If this is your first time, we encourage you to share. We welcome you, number one, and we encourage you to like and share the broadcast as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sarah Batroni. So tonight we have another exciting broadcast. I'm so excited. I have a beautiful guest, another professional from our country. Her name is Esther McCont. Yeah, please
Hi.
help me welcome Miss McCont. She is the founder and CEO of Metro Mommy Agency. Esther McCott has provided labor support to over 100 mothers during their birthing experience and also has served hundreds of mothers in South Florida through childbirth education, breastfeeding support, and other postpartum doula support services. She is not only a doula and childbirth educator, she is also serving as a lactation counselor and certified hypnobirthing childbirth educator. She also currently serves as the founder and director of the Metro Mommy Agency Doula Mentorship Program, where she provides ongoing mentorship to 13 doulas located in Florida and Georgia. Esther has been featured as a speaker for Santla Haitian Neighborhood Center, Live Live Healthier Miami, Healthier Miami Gardens, Sudden Birth Justice Network and Week, and has also been featured in Voyage MIA online magazine and Soft Spot podcast. She also shared wisdom and insight on her experiencing motherhood of four sons in the Miami Mom Collective blog. All right. As a Miami native, Esther graduated with a bachelor's degree in biology from the University of Miami. Yeah, the U. During college, she contributed to the development of a summer science education program for underserved and diverse high school students and served as a health education intern with Miami Area Health Education Center, working at the Department of Children and Families in the childcare industry at the state level, gave her a unique perspective on what it takes for children to thrive in a safe, healthy, and clean environment. She has four energetic, naturally birthed boys, ages 10, 8, 7, and 4. You got your handful, girl.
Thank
Esther
you.
created Metro Mommy Agency to address the lack of support among the families who need it the most. Becoming a doula, childbirth educator, and certified lactation counselor fulfills a desire to teach, encourage other women as they embark on this journey of motherhood. Esther McCott. I could go on and on and on with the bio because she has so many accomplishments. Please tell the viewers who you are, besides what we shared with them from this bio. And I thank you for coming to this platform. We welcome you as a first timer. I'm sure you will be coming back, but as a first time, I welcome you. Esther, please tell us a little bit more about yourself, if you may. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor
Welcome.
Sarah. It's very humbling to hear back a little bit about myself in that way. I think what was missing is I am a Haitian American woman. Both my parents were born in Port-au-Prince. I was born here, actually, Fourth of July baby. And
Wow.
so I feel like I am here to live the dream of my family members who came before me, and that ancestry of greatness when it comes to our people, Haitian people here in this country, and the great things that we're doing. And my role is to just contribute. You know, I have a huge passion for the work that I do, and oftentimes I don't have to say that. It shows in the way that I serve families and the way that I interact in my community. And I'm also the co-chair for the Healthy Baby Task Force, which is part of the consortium for Healthier Miami-Dade. So we have players like the Health Department, WIC, all of these wonderful organizations that work for expectant families. And what I do is really, you know, preach, you know, that good news that doulas are here, that we're here to fill in any gaps, especially when funding can be an issue, especially when the 9 to 5, the grind of it all can be a challenge for caseworkers. I'm here as a doula to kind of fill in the gap for some of those families. So I think that's what was missing.
Great. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's what was missing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So tell us what I've mentioned it in your bio and in your introduction. You've also
Mhm.
mentioned that. What is a doula? What is a
Okay.
doula?
Yes. So a doula,
In
that's
layman's term, if we don't know,
mhm.
if we've never been exposed to that term, and if you can also say it in Creole, all right,
Okay.
qui sont doulaye, qui sont
Um,
doulaye.
yes, yes. So I don't know if there's a particular Haitian term for it,
Uh-huh.
but doula, we like to use doula anyway. So the way that I would describe it is I am that BFF, that best friend forever, before, during, and after the birth. So I'm
Wow.
not just that person that's excited that she's pregnant, that she's about to have a baby. I'm that
Mhm.
professional who's been trained to navigate that journey with her on an emotional level, helping her deal with the new emotions of what's about to happen, the fears, the concerns regarding childbirth, but also on a physical level, I show up physically while she's in labor at home and guide her on when to get to the hospital so that I can join her there as well. And if she's birthing in a birth center or, you know, at home, I stay with her the entire time that she's in labor. And I'm there to offer that first bit of postpartum support, you know, lactation support, helping her get that first latch. And I continue the journey throughout the whole 6 weeks. For me, for my private clients, we go 6 months to help her, you know, adjust accordingly and deal with that transition of motherhood. So in Creole, j'aime ta dit ça, c'est on doula, c'est un monde qui yo entraîné li pour li capable aider en femme qui est enceinte pendant la um, pendant li enceinte là pour bali éducation, pour bali support émotionnel support, pour bali support physiquement. So pendant que ton en dame ouais li poil accoucher, li senti corps li a changé, li senti li poil faire petite là, c'est là ça li ka voyer mon texte, li ka brelem. Et tout de suite, mwen jwen li, mwen rete ansam avek li la kay li, mwen asiste li nepot kote li pou al fe pitit la, si se nan l'opital, ou bien si se la kay li, ou bien nan birth center. Et se kon sa, mwen rete pou bali bon um, advice. Nan sens ke
Tout
bon
conseil. Let me
konsey.
tell
Yes,
you,
tout konsey.
girl, you did wonderful
Thank
for
you.
native Miami. Okay, you born in Miami, you were raised here in Miami, and
Yeah.
you have all that Creole long. So
Yo dis,
Creole
yo,
long. M
tout
kompren tout
temps.
so di yo. So very good, very good.
Thank
So
you.
in essence, you said it's the BFF of the pregnant woman. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
from the time she finds out she's pregnant, throughout the pregnancy, during
Mm-hmm.
the birth, and after birth, which is so very important. When everybody's
Mm-hmm.
gaga, goo goo gaga over the baby, we tend
Yep.
to forget about the mother. That
Yep.
BFF is still there. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Pretty much. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm
Okay.
also there for the dads too, right? Because dads may not express it, they may not say it, but they are sometimes very fearful and afraid, and they're not sure how to deal with the emotions and the tension that can show up during labor. So I'm
Mhm.
there as a guide to reassure them, to a little extra
Wow.
insurance
Okay.
that everything can go smoothly. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. So when does a mom to be contact you to
Okay.
become her BFF? Is it
Okay.
during, as soon as she goes to her physician, to her OBG, YN,
Hmm.
and she learns that she's pregnant, does she contact you at this time? Or is it the OBGYN that can refer that
Hmm.
mommy to be to you? How does that work?
Okay, so I've been doing interviews and consultations for 6 years now, and it happens in a variety of ways. So sometimes I'm interacting with a mom who hasn't even gotten pregnant yet, but she's strongly considering it, and she's a planner, and she reaches out to me before she's pregnant. Once she knows she's pregnant, she reaches out as well, and I would encourage her to start working with me after she's reached that 12 to 14 week mark, right? Where we know the risk of miscarriages can be a little high. So
Mm-hmm.
I encourage moms to reach out as early as that. So I will have moms reach out 6 to 8 weeks and I say, thank you for letting me know. Let's continue working as soon as you get past this mark. Because unfortunately, um, I've had to be that support to a person who has had a loss. And that's what we're seeing as a more significant change since COVID is that moms have been miscarrying. There's been higher incidence of stillbirths. And so it's been fortunate for those moms to reach out to me as early as they did, but for those moms who don't even know anything about me, it's a little challenging. And so during the pregnancy, they may find out about me or a doula and reach out then. And it's not unusual for me to book someone the day that they go into labor. You
Okay.
know, they reach out and we interview, they like me, we move forward, and okay, now I'm in labor. So I've helped moms in that way as well. So it's never too late, but I would always encourage to reach out sooner than later.
Okay. So you're saying they have to pass a certain mark for you to work with them to avoid having to work with them if they do have a miscarriage. Is that what you're saying? So you
Absolutely.
okay? So
Hmm.
you don't work. I'm not sure how to put that, but do you work
Hmm.
with women who've had a loss or
Absolutely.
no? Yes.
I have. A lot of my current doula clients, they have experienced miscarriages before, right? But what I'm saying is with a loss, it's such a huge thing to grieve that I don't want to make a deposit that was made towards me something else that the mom has to think about, if that makes sense, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
once we're past that delicate phase, 12 to 14 weeks, the deposit can be made, we can officially begin working. Doesn't mean that I won't interact with a woman. I've actually had a woman who's had a loss. She booked me, interviewed me, was pregnant, had a loss, did not want her deposit because she believed and had faith that she would get pregnant again. And now we're currently working together because she is
Wow.
pregnant again.
Wow.
So, in a case like that, I'm happy to do whatever the mom needs, guide her to support for bereavement, for whatever it is.
Right. Right. Which is what a BFF is, right?
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how did you choose? How and why did you choose to become a doula? I think the why is in your bio because you're
Hmm.
very passionate about it. You seek to
Hmm.
make change. But tell us a little bit more. How
Hmm.
did you embrace that career, that profession?
Absolutely. So a
Why?
lot of people who do birth work, the work that I do, would say that it's not that we chose it; it's that it chose us. And in a lot of ways, my own birthing experiences totally led the path for me to do this work. So I've always had the impression that I could give birth outside of the hospital setting. And with that said, working with midwives, they work very well and very closely with doulas. So my very
Mm-hmm.
first birth, I had a doula, and she was my childbirth educator. She was definitely that motherly, nurturing person that I could ask questions to, and she was physically and emotionally there for me to keep me stable during that first birth experience. So
Mm-hmm.
20 hours later, you'd think I would be a doula, in labor, but I chose to just do my whole mothering. And then baby number two happened, and the birth was awesome, even better than before. Baby number
Mm-hmm.
three happened. And what was different this time was I did not live in Florida, where we have the luxury of having all types of midwives that we could choose to birth with. I
Mm-hmm.
actually lived in a place called Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And in that particular state, I'm sure you all are aware, there's racial tension, but there's also this this disdain for midwifery, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very unfortunate. And I found myself there having two births under my belt and couldn't figure out how I was going to find a great doula and birth the way that I wanted to. So I became one of many women across this country to not only try to have a home birth experience, but to leave the state that I originally resided in to
Mm-hmm.
do it. So I gave birth to my third son, Jonas, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it was there after I had a wonderful water birth experience, first one ever, and it was excellent. 6 hours,
Wow.
very short.
Wow.
It was great.
Wow.
And it was there with that particular midwife that I learned, wow, women need a lot of support to do this. And I found myself 6 weeks, 5 weeks postpartum because I was going to move again back to Florida. And I was sitting with her in her office and I was talking about how, I just felt like something was missing, something was off. And I found myself in tears, crying, because here I am, a mom of now 3 kids. I went to
Mm-hmm.
I studied biology. I was supposed to be a doctor. That's what my parents wanted for me.
uh,
And I'm wrestling with what all of this motherhood means. And so she asked me, she said, well, what do you truly enjoy? What do you love to do the most? And I said, you know what I love? I love being able to go to the playground with my kids, watch them be leaders, stomp the yard, and have me stand around and talk with the moms. That's all I would love to do. Talk about, our kids, our births, our pregnancies. And I found myself listening to
mm-hmm.
their stories, listening to them vent and cry about how their births didn't go as planned. And so I shared that with her, and she said, you know what? You might want to consider becoming a doula, a childbirth educator, or, a midwife. So clearly I didn't choose midwifery
Right.
because that would have been a lot to handle, how many years ago? 7 years ago. But I definitely jumped right back into a training once I got into Florida again. And that was in 2015, and I've been doing it ever since.
And you love
So
it
I love
because you
it.
can connect with these women, obviously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So I was going to ask you, but I think again you've already answered that question. Is
Mm-hmm.
a doula the same as a midwife? Because I've
Mm,
kind of thought that it was
mm-hmm.
the same, but obviously it's different, but within the
Mm-hmm.
same
Mm-hmm.
um, um, area, right? Or profession, or na même lignée.
Yeah, même linéaire, we're all, birth professionals, but the midwife, we call that the femme sage, right?
Uh huh.
She is trained clinically to do all of the prenatal routine work. So everything the OB would normally do in terms of testing, in terms of vaginal checks, in terms of, making sure they're listening to the baby and monitoring the growth of the baby, the midwives are able to do that as well. As a
Mm-hmm.
doula, I don't do anything clinical. I'm not taking blood pressures. I'm not doing vaginal checks. I'm doing all the other holistic checks. So, emotionally, where is the mother? Educationally, what does she know about what's about to happen and how prepared is she? And then
Mm-hmm.
physically in the moment, I'm actually there before anyone else arrives, before the
Okay.
doctor, before the midwife. I'm helping that mom labor down, breathe, stay calm, and have her baby.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
that is very important. So, um, the families, they hire the doulas besides having their own doctor, or besides having their own midwife.
Yes,
So
that is
that's.
correct.
Do you find it very common that families hire doulas?
Oh
Because they might say, well, I have my OBGYN, and you know uh,
yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
okay, I don't need that. I
Yeah.
mean.
So it depends on the different crowds. So what I see now in terms of women who might have previously thought that way is
Mm-hmm.
that the statistics are getting to them a lot quicker. We live in the age where information is everywhere. You can't even hide from it. And what they're seeing is the data is showing that, especially for African American women and Black women in general, we are 2 to 3 times more likely to die in childbirth than
Mm-hmm.
those that are non Black. And those stats are coming first. And fear is
Mm-hmm.
crippling women in a lot of ways, where some will continue on with their provider and OB and hope for the best, but others, many others, are seeking to get extra support from doulas
Okay.
like myself to
Okay.
advocate for them. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I see in the bio, again, I didn't read the whole thing, right? I see that you've had work, you've worked with clients from a number of countries and backgrounds, which I think it's
Yes.
very important.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, please, guys, I can't see much on my screen because I'm not using the regular screen. We had some difficulties and we had to be on our phones, right? Esther,
Yeah.
we had to fight this technology and
Making
we
it
are
work.
on our phone. So please help me out, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Share the broadcast, like the broadcast like you usually do. And if it's your first time on YouTube or on YouTube, please subscribe, abonne à YouTube, Sarah Batroni. All right, so help me out. I don't know if I can see if you guys can put questions or what have you as usual. Okay, but Miss Esther here, she worked with different cultures, people from different countries. She worked with
Mm-hmm.
clients from different countries and backgrounds, including China, South America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, Haiti, and Australia, to name a few. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is the difference between the women from those different countries, those different cultures? Or
Mm.
what I'm saying, what's the difference? What are the differences and what are the similarities? All
That's a
right.
great question.
Yes,
A
I
really
think
good question.
I would rather sit on the similarities
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
so than the differences.
Absolutely. Yeah, so many things are similar, you know. There's always this newness. Doesn't matter if you're a first time Chinese woman, first time Jamaican woman, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's this newness that you're not aware of. And I think overall, when I look at all of the clients that I've served, I've always found that there has to be an emphasis on their mental health, right? And where was it before they have their babies, right? Before they started breastfeeding and trying to, you know, deal with the sleep deprivation and everything like that. So in learning about all of these different women, I found that those are the things that have to be the same. So I really care about providing care in a very equitable manner. I don't change my content of my core curriculum based on someone's culture. I
Mm-hmm.
think there is a core base knowledge that every mom should have. And the way that culture influences them comes, I think, mainly from their interaction with their mothers. So that mother relationship that the pregnant mom has, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was it before the birth? Because if it was not very tight or very close, she may come at a bit of a deficit in the sense that that mother may or may not be dependent upon, that grandmother particularly
Mm-hmm.
may not be someone that she could depend upon. So in the same way that all women need support, I truly feel like as much as possible, make it a family effort as much as possible. Incorporate the grandmother, incorporate the father.
That
Um,
goes for all cultures,
all
right?
cultures need
Okay.
to do that, you know, because when you think about it, family is everything. And how you bring a new person into this world matters.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone will have their opinions on how it should be done. But the at the bottom line, because I've seen this too, where you know family members may not agree with the choice that the mother has made on where she wants to birth or how she wants to do it. But the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line is that they can agree that it needs to be done safely and she needs to be supported. And
Right.
so I think every mother family needs to be very aware of that. If you've had anxiety before, if you've been dealing with depression before, you need to make sure you're taking time to address those mental health concerns before you have your baby, because there's no amount of money. That's the other thing too, because I mean, wide range of clientele. So from clients who absolutely could afford anything and all things to clients who absolutely cannot. And all of them, all of them have dealt with some type of postpartum depression at a certain point. They all do. So not every single client has had it. Doulas actually have the ability to provide reassurance and support in a way to reduce the risk of postpartum depression. But when it does show up, I'm finding more than anything, there were some previous health concerns prior to.
Right. So across the board, every woman, every pregnant woman, mother to be, needs to have a healthy state of mind. So
Mm-hmm.
you are giving holistic help to these pregnant women or mothers to be, right?
Right. Absolutely.
That's
And it's not me personally. I
mhm,
don't put on that hat. That's out of my scope. I'm not a mental health therapist.
right.
However, when I find our conversations are getting so deep
Mm-hmm.
that I know a proper tool would be a professional who can address it,
Exactly.
I
Right.
will point them directly to a Black mental health therapist, that I am happy to refer them to. And I've even incorporated it into my packages, for that reason.
Right. That would have been my next question. Once you get to the bottom line of a situation,
Mm-hmm.
how do you go about it? So you have your resources
Mm-hmm.
to connect. You can link them to that care that they need with that professional, right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it comes from me knowing what's already being offered as well. Right. So going to these community meetings with all of these different players, I learn
Mm-hmm.
about what they're actually offering.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from a meeting that I attended that
Mm-hmm.
some of our OBs, some of our, providers, they don't provide the Edinburgh screening, which is the screening to help us know if a mom has postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm.
So that informed my practice in that within 2 to 4 weeks, I actually send it out to my own doula clients, because within 6 weeks, a lot of life can happen. And the
Yes.
sooner a mom can identify that she needs more support in that way, or the partner, because usually it's the
Mm-hmm.
partners who
Mm-hmm.
are the ones identifying it, or even the pediatrician
Mm-hmm.
identifying it. But the sooner the better,
Right.
that mom can start to get back to a place of wellness.
Right. And you are based in Miami. Is that correct? Where are you
I Yeah,
based?
I'm based in North Miami Beach, but I serve as far north as West Palm Beach and as
Okay.
far south as Homestead.
Okay. I'm
Hmm.
gonna have someone call you
Okay, good.
tomorrow.
Nice.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Nice. Hmm.
Um, did the pandemic last year, 2020, how did the pandemic, again, guys, please help me out tonight. You have to share. You have to share. I don't have any means of sharing. I'm using my phone. I can't see much. All right,
Hmm.
so please share so you can provide that information. Send this content out there to family members or friends or what have you that might be in need of this information. As you
Hmm.
know, Thursday Night Live is to educate, is to inform, is to remind you guys of things that you may already know and that you're forgetting and you're not
Hmm.
applying to your everyday lives. So that's what it's about. This is not just spiritual, okay? Nous paraître là, nous prier le matin, etc. No, we do believe that we are still on earth, and as earthly beings, although we are also celestial beings, okay, pendant à vivre sous terre, à deux pieds nous sous
Hmm.
terre, there are information that we need to know and apply to our lives so we can have that abundant life that Jesus gives, okay? So
Hmm.
please help me share tonight because I don't have much, okay, ways of doing that. So
Hmm.
how did the pandemic, how did you find that the pandemic affected or impacted your work with families in 2020 and until now? How's that has that been for you?
Yeah. So one of the hardest parts is the hospital policies, right? Where they were limiting
Yes.
visitors. And so there was a whole uproar about it locally, nationally. There were women across the country giving birth alone, women who had already previously booked me months
Wow.
in advance who had to cancel because their hospitals limited the visitors. When in fact, doulas are not visitors. We're not there to just spectate. You know, we are
Right.
definitely a part of the labor support team. And so what that meant was we had to pivot, right? That was the word of the year last year is pivoting, and provide virtual support, which is something I actually was
Okay.
familiar doing when I worked with the mom in China. You know, I had done virtual doula support before.
Okay.
And so I did a lot more of that for some of our hospitals, praying and hoping that more hospitals would allow us back in. There's been a few that have always allowed us in. Broward Health is one of them. And as of late, we're seeing Miami-Dade County catching up. So
Good,
we
good,
have,
good.
Mount Sinai, Jackson, North Shore is also now allowing us in. And so what that meant was I had to be really intentional. I was always intentional because I love childbirth education, but very intentional about ensuring that the partners were ready.
Mm.
Because if the mom was showing up with just her partner, that one visitor, right?
Mhm.
He needed to know what to do. So I remember at the start of the pandemic, actually, I had a Jamaican couple, and we did the whole birth through WhatsApp. And so they would just,
Wow.
call me periodically, put me on, on the WhatsApp. He would, position the
So the
phone a certain
husband
way.
became pretty much the coach. The
Yeah.
husband became your ally. You were
Yes.
coaching the
Yeah.
husband. Okay,
Yep,
great.
Daddy doula in full
Daddy
effect.
Doula.
Yeah, and we got her through the whole pushing phase. But what really warmed my heart was that a lot of the times the nurses would come in and they would hear me talking and trying to calm her down or encourage her to breathe. And what I loved was that they could see her calmness, and then they could come in the room and see that I'm not there to disrupt what's happening, right?
Hmm.
And so there was a time where the nurse actually came up to the video and was like, "Thank you for being here."
Oh,
Even though I wasn't physically there, you know?
right.
So that really touched my heart and helped me see that we have value whether we're physically there or not. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, I was onto something with that.
That your
So,
work is important, that your work is very much
hmm
important, just as they are taking care of the medical side, and you are taking
hmm
part of the you are helping, supporting, and getting them through
hmm
the childbirthing process very easily. That's
right.
as just as important, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So how popular how popular is this, or how old is this
hmm
profession? Why isn't there too many people who know about it?
Right.
Like I said, I myself thought it would be the same line of work as the midwife, you
hmm
know? So
hmm
how popular is it, and how long has it been around?
Yeah, I mean, I think for many, many years since women have been giving birth, we've always been supported by someone with feminine energy, a
Mhm.
woman. We've always had someone around us, and societies at large were, usually this village mentality. So if it wasn't your mom, it was your auntie, your grandma, your neighbor down the road who would support you during the birthing
Mhm.
process. And the same is true today, right? When a Haitian woman, le nou fek fè an pitit, nou anset, nou akouche, ki es nou mande pou tout fè pou fè ben, right? Nou mande,
Yes.
nou mande tout zami nou nan l'ekol, nan l'eglise la, to gather the faith, And
Yeah, al
so,
pran fè la, usually c'est
I love
maman,
that.
ou bien
Yeah,
grand nan, ou bien ma tante lan.
right, right.
Yes, parce fò
But
yo ben.
yeah, for your Febela.
Uh-huh.
So in a lot of and then in biblical times too, we think about, Moses and Miriam
Mhm.
and all of that. So I
Mhm.
feel like it's always been around. Why people don't know about it, I think again, as our communities and our societies grow further apart, we're
Mm-hmm.
not doing the whole village thing anymore. We're a little, and I only noticed this honestly when I lived in southern states. I know Florida is the most southern state, but in other southern states, that hospitality, that openness, that kindness is kind of
Mm-hmm.
like lost here in a lot of respects. And so I find here in Miami that busyness, that not having enough time can get in the way. And then we have a culture of a lot of C-sections here in general. So
Right.
just hearing and knowing, well, people have C-sections. Why would I need a doula to reduce the risk of a C-section? It's a normal
Mm-hmm.
thing. But we
Mm-hmm.
want to change that culture because a lot of the sections that happen here are actually unnecessary. And if time was given, if an advocate was in the room, it could have been a totally different outcome.
Yes.
We know that to be true. So
Correct.
that's what I'm doing this work for, is to kind of change the culture, to educate people on what I do, and also to bring others along with me through the mentorship program, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right. And even after C-section, you still can be there to support. Correct.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
after a
Yes. Because you said it's
C-section,
after birth too.
hmm during the
Okay.
C-section, if I'm physically in the operating room, which I've seen a
Mm-hmm.
couple of them happen, and then also if a mom maybe wants to do a vaginal birth after a C-section, all
Mm-hmm.
is not lost. So
Right.
we're able to help with any kind of birthing experience.
Okay. So, since you worked with different cultures, avec moun ki
Hmm.
soti nan lot peyi, ki
Hmm.
diferans, konya nou te pale de similarite yo, konya na pale
Hmm.
de diferans yo,
Hmm.
apre moun nan fin akouche, pa vre,
Oui.
eske nan lot kultur yo, ou wè yo gen menm tradisyon ansam avek nou, kote yo pran ben, alright,
Hmm.
yo pran
Hmm.
fey, etc. Esko wè bagay sa nan lot kultur? Parce que at
Hmm.
one point, yo te fè konen ke chale an pa bon, le moun nan
Hmm.
pran vapeur an.
Hmm.
Le gran moun yo bay nou vapeur an le nou fin akouche, li pa bon parce en realite l kuit san down. That's what they were saying at one point. So,
Mm.
eske wè tradisyon sa yo nan lot kultur yo? Nan
Absolutely.
bape myen yo, Jamaiken yo, Chinese yo, moun nou travay ansam avek yo, Australien yo, esko wè bagay sa? Petet yo pa pran feuy, men yo gon vapeur yo dwe pran. Hein?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting. So there's been some celebrities that have made this pretty popular, the bang
Uh-huh.
thing. Yeah. And so I'm seeing more openness to it. I personally don't do it. I have a doula mentee. Her name's Tamara. She does the bang thing for my clients.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But and personally I've done it on myself with baby number 4 because my mom was like, I did this 3 times. I'm getting old. Like, you just do it by yourself. And I just did it. She got all the fae together for me. But vraiment, moi, on pile bagay haïtien fait, que on pile l'autre monde pas fait. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Dans le sens que, gen des fois, there's this sense of like privacy that
Mm-hmm.
as a Haitian culture we have to have. And we feel like that's the only way to do it. Where yo pas tellement ouvri, you know, pense yo pou wè ki jan an doula kapab ede yo, ou bien pou wè ki jan si yo ta just ton, you know, docteur ou bien midwife la to clear the mom before they do the ban. An pil fwa yo pa kompon sa. And I think that can kind of sometimes get in the way. Surtout pou an pil Haitien, pou papa Haitien mwen yo.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're very hesitant. Yo pi kwen tout sa an dokter ap di, e se pa pou di mpa kon bon dokter, m kon bon dokter. Men yo plis sou bon dokter ke pense vreman ki sa dam la vreman bezwen, sa ki
Mm-hmm.
nesesè. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
E yo plis, an pil fwa yo manke edukasyon an. E se pa fot yo. Vreman se pa
Mm-hmm.
fot yo, paske le mwen pale avek dam haisyen, mwen mge an group WhatsApp, right? Kote se selman dam haisyen, se la mwen bay an pil donasyon, bagay bebe, bagay pou maman. E an pil fwa dam sa yo, le mwen fè konversasyon avek yo preske pa jam gen an non pou dokter yo. Sa vle
Yo
di
pa
ke
kon nan
yo
doktor
pa
yan?
kon non dokter yo, paske yo wè plizye de dokter, yo pa kon ki eski pal fè akouchman, yo pa gen an relationship avek yo. En
Is
sa
that
ka,
part of the underserved? Are these under the underserved communities? Is
yes.
it there might be a few reasons why that is. Maybe it's
Mhm.
because they don't have good insurance or what have
Mhm.
you. They're
Right.
visiting the clinics, and when
Mhm.
you go to the clinic, they give you whatever
Whoever.
doctor. You don't have a specific doctor, so I can
Right.
see why that can really
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah, yeah. If any, gene kote too, it's private, and they still have lots of doctors, but they don't know who the doctor
Yes.
is. And pour même, I think in the terms of offense, right? How ki jan
Mm-hmm.
mwen kapab make sure tout sa mwen gen pou m fè pandan mwen enceinte la, tout bagay yo bien you document it very well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pou si yon bagay pase, ok, ou gen tout informasyon ou la. C'est ça, moi, that's what I'm trying to advocate for. That there
Mm-hmm.
is that autonomy, but there's that responsibility to know what you need to know. But what I see is they don't know what they don't know, you know? And so, c'est ton moun comme moi qui dit, OK, sous Haitian flag, Haitian Mother's Day, au lieu nous juste fêter, al manger, on nous fait un événement côté nous bail éducation, sous bagay comme ça. On nous fait un événement côté nous dit, oui, manger haïtien, nous remel. Mais si vous connaissez ou gagné diabetes, OK, pendant enceinte là, faut faire un changement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Parce que si vous avez l'idée que vous pouvez faire un petit sans C-section et vous pas faire un genre pour contrôler ce cycle là,
Mm-hmm.
right? Ou mettez dans côté where you're vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that's what I'm trying to kind of like change that a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
educate them and buy your ressources. Surtout ressources qui
Absolutely.
gratis, ressources communautaires que vous pas jamais connaître parce
Mm-hmm.
que ressources yo en pile fois yo pas dans langue là, right? Yo pas mettre dans créole pour nous. So c'est kounya c'est nous même qui fait un extra step pour nous traduire pour yo. It's a lot more that needs to be done in our community to make
Yes.
this normal. And to be honest with you, I have a lot of Haitian uh, families. There are a lot of millennials, right? And their biggest struggle is when they want to do birth outside the hospital, and the family doesn't understand why.
The millennials.
The millennials, that's their
Okay.
biggest issue, is that their mom doesn't believe they could do it. Their mom had C-section. What does she think she's gonna have a vaginal birth? Ou bien si yo besoin faire breastfeeding and maman yo pas de breastfeed long, pour qui ça a besoin faire breast milk ou cap just faire formula. So that's the struggle that I see, at
I
least in our
was going to ask you if you find them, when you educate them that way,
mm-hmm.
do you find them very receptive?
Mm-hmm.
But with what you just said,
Mm-hmm.
even though they might be open to the new information that you're providing, opening their eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but they're finding resistance in the older generation who's telling them what to do or who's going, against what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And that
both.
that doesn't help, does it? That's not
It
helping.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Right.
So I've always seen that the barriers come from a lot of different directions, right? It could be barriers in the sense that, if you don't spend enough time in your doctor's office, how are you going to know enough information to come back,
Right.
ask questions, even with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you say you do spend enough time there, right, and you go home and the living situation is toxic, or the
Mm-hmm.
living situation is everyone is thinking you should just go to the hospital, right? I
Right.
had a family booked me as a doula, was planning a home birth, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and was laboring in front of a hospital, like that's where she was going to have the baby, and I'm like, wait, no, that's not where she's having the baby. I've had family members, you know, try to tell a mom to go to a different hospital, and they don't understand the implications of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's a lot of education on choices and respecting a woman's autonomy, respecting why she's making the decision, that needs to happen for everyone, the partners, the grandmothers, the family members, the friends. But I love it. I love it when friends, other Haitian friends, know that and can identify that their friend needs a doula and they
Mm-hmm.
make the referral. Like, it's beautiful. But what I do during the birthing process, if I'm physically there and I still have like family members that might be a little naysayers or they're doubting what's happening
Mm-hmm.
here, I just befriend them. Mbale bon
Right.
créole mwen avec yo, I just
Yes, yes, and it's cool. You're there
yeah,
to help, not
yeah,
to fight them. You
yeah.
can fight in a way by providing education in the community. That's
Mhm.
what you can do, but
Yep.
not on site when everything is happening, because that's
Right.
not what you're there for. You're there for
Right.
the mother to be and to
Right.
support them.
Mhm.
So, do you? I know. Sorry, in your bio, you say
Mhm.
that you seek to reduce infant mortality as the and you work to increase breastfeeding rates and
Mhm.
so on and so forth. How is it with the millennials? Do you
Yes.
find that they do want to breastfeed, or they're like, no, it's not important, I don't want to do this, how is
Yeah.
it for them?
Yeah.
Or is
It's
it just like the older generation who used to do the breastfeeding thing?
yeah. Well, actually, I don't get a lot of that, the latter of what you just shared. I get a lot of I want to breastfeed, but I know I have
Okay.
to go to work, right? And so
Right.
I actually just left someone who really wants to breastfeed and do it as long as they can, but they know they have to go to work. And so that alone limits how far they want to do it and how
Yes.
attached they might want to be upfront.
Right.
And the thing about breastfeeding is you got to be attached to your baby to produce that milk.
Yes.
So, whether you want to do it long term or not, it comes down to that workplace, right? So, one of the things we work on is increasing the number of baby friendly workplaces, right? Because if you know that you can go back to work and pump like you're legally allowed to, right?
Yes.
The state of
Yes.
Florida allows for moms to be able to have those 15-minute breaks to pump, then you're gonna come in with a different game plan versus, well, I don't have a plan, I don't have a goal. A lot of the times, if they are not taking breastfeeding classes, it's very hard to convince those mothers after they've already had their babies why breastfeeding is important, why they should do it. Okay. And so I find that without the education piece ahead of time, it's a lot more challenging. I need you to believe hook, line, and sinker that you can do this, right? Not just
Hmm.
I personally did it 13 months or longer with each of my sons and worked and baby wore,
Did you
went to
say
corporate
how
meetings.
long? How long did you
13
say?
months or longer, like 13 months
13 months.
or longer. Yeah. And the longest,
Wow.
the last one was 26 months. And by that time, I was already a doula. So my whole career like pushed me to keep going, and what I was
Wow.
already trying to do in the community. I mean, imagine I would go to like meetings and wickets across the table. Like, I'm going to keep breastfeeding. It was,
Girl,
it was like
you
that.
did.
Yeah, and I did.
Wow.
I was like teaching childbirth classes and newborn care classes, baby wearing my son. So it can be done. It's just the mindset has to be there, the education has to be there, the support has to be there.
Right.
And, and what we know, especially um, with black families in particular, is the partner. If the
Hmm.
partner is doubting, saying, "Oh no, we don't have time for this. Just give them formula. I need to sleep." And if they're ready to call it quits, a lot of the times that's just enough influence to have the mom
Yes,
want to quit
for the
too.
mom not to follow through.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said that you stay until after the birth for postpartum, but do you help with the process of weaning the child?
Oh yeah, I just
Because
got a
I
call.
remember feeling so hurt. I
Mhm.
felt so crushed with my last one.
Mm.
After maybe 2 weeks of going back to work,
Mhm.
one day I came home, picked him up. I came home, put him to the breast, and he totally refused.
Mm.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I felt so hurt. I felt
Oh.
so crushed. I mean, m fè tout sa m konen pou m fèl pran tete ya. Li
Mm.
jist pa vle lo rejte l kareman. I mean, he
Wow.
would not take it for nothing after 2 weeks. And
Wow.
to me, that I was like, oh, I was not prepared for it. And I
And
felt bad. I'm like, well, since I put him out, for 2 weeks and he's been on the bottle, he
mhm.
doesn't need the breast anymore.
Right.
So do
Yeah.
you help with that process?
Absolutely. And
Ou
that's
ede
part.
moun nan sevre ti moun nan koman pou l fel?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
I have clients, we're still connected. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years later, I'm still going to birthday parties. They're still asking me
Mhm.
about nutrition and homeschooling because I'm a homeschooling mom too. And I just remember with my third son, I had to travel to Chicago for like 3
Mhm.
without him and pump and just getting haggled at TSA. I was like, TSA thought I was bringing something like a bomb. I don't know what they thought I was bringing, but it was for milk. And so I ended up ending that journey. And I completely understand. It's an abrupt thing to come home and then you're trying and the baby's like, no, I don't want
Nope.
to.
Nope.
So yeah,
I
we help
mean,
with that.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hmm.
So how is there a way for a mom to bring them back to the breast or
Oh,
no?
to
Once they
relactate.
don't want it, they don't want it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can definitely relactate. The other thing too to make it very distinct is when we say breastfeeding exclusively, only offering breast milk, that can be done two ways, right? It can be done if you want to exclusively pump the milk, and then it also can be done with you bringing the baby to the breast. So
Right.
just because baby may not want it at the breast doesn't mean the baby can't have it offered in a cup, in a sippy cup or a
Mhm.
bottle. So that's something that I would say if moms still want to produce the milk and provide it, go ahead and try to pump, right? Because that's one way you can keep that going.
Yeah, I think it was more like they don't want the actual breast. They used to tetin. When the tetin feeling is, I don't know what it
Mm,
was, but that's good to know that you can help relactate the child
hmm.
after they reject use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like just the developmental period where they're at, um,
Uh-huh.
where they're more likely to like, do some rejection.
Yes. And as a CEO of a Metro Mommy agency, how successful have you been in providing in bridging the gap or closing the disparity gap for minorities? How
Oh yeah.
successful has you been as an organization?
I think we've been pretty successful. When I think about my C-section rates, really low, like under 10%, when our national average is 33 plus percent. And in Florida,
Hmm.
specifically in Miami-Dade, we have like the highest C-section rates ever.
Hmm.
And they could be as upwards as 60%. I'm going to bat every day to make sure that women are thinking carefully when they're making
Right.
decisions. And I spend time with them to help them with their providers. So just this past month, I've been working with someone 5 or 6 weeks. She was with a provider who totally ignored the fact that she had gestational diabetes,
Hmm.
did not really care for her in the sense of keeping up the appointments and everything like that. And in her own gut feeling, she felt like that was not okay. And I helped her secure a different provider who
Hmm.
was going to take care of her and also added additional, nutrition support for her. And now she's on her way to possibly having her baby vaginally, and
Wow.
that's important. Little things like that can have someone rock right into a section for no reason. Now,
Yes.
the birth hasn't happened, right? There's still time.
Hmm.
But this is the reassurance that I'm trying to make distinctly. If you're gonna have a section,
Hmm.
make sure it's for a real reason, right?
Right.
A real medical reason.
Hmm.
Because a C-section is a major surgery. Okay. And when the ball gets rolling on your birth story and you're in that delivery room or wherever you're at, you can't go back.
Hmm.
You can't go back
Yes.
decision to take the Pitocin or to take the
Mm-mm.
epidural, and you just can't go back. And so what I have in my hands to kind of help me bridge that gap is experience helping women get to the vaginal birth, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
after a C-section or not, right?
Right.
But also hearing them tell me all of the terrible things that happened, so that I can help them avoid that again.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you don't want, is to repeat things. And I absolutely
Yes.
hate hearing, I'm walking, minding my own business in the grocery store, and a woman says, "Oh, you're a doula? Where were you 5 C-sections ago?"
Oh,
That's like the worst thing to hear.
wow.
But it,
Five C-sections.
yeah, over and over and over and over again.
Right.
So,
And
you
I
know,
heard you say that you help connect with the correct provider.
hmm
Recently, I had a case where a young lady, a
hmm
millennial, it's not like she had language barrier or educational barrier or anything. As she was about to give birth, almost give birth, now the provider is telling her that the insurance that she has does not cover this or that, and she would have to come up with $3,000. Um, she had her own personal insurance that she's paying for at work, but she had a deductible. They're saying that they don't take Medicaid to cover the deductible. And she's
wow.
like, she had no idea. She didn't know what to do. And the provider did not go to such and such hospital. You're talking about 2 weeks from
Hmm,
giving birth. And I'm like, my God, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to help you. I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, those situations, you need people like you who could help them navigate.
hmm
And I'm like, how come you did not know from the beginning
Right.
what the doctor accepted, what they did not? She's like, they never told me. They've
Mm,
never told me. Now, 2 weeks prior to giving birth, that's what they're telling her. Now,
mm.
are there resources that you could have provided at that point or no? Or
Oh,
kind of,
at that point, if we need to switch it up, we'll find a different provider. A provider who might not try to rush into making a decision contrary to what she wants from her birth plan,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
And I don't do any billing or insurance because honestly, that stuff.
Uh-oh. I think I lost her, you guys. Hopefully she'll jump back on. I'm not sure. Um, let's see. You guys are not asking questions tonight. Please ask questions so Miss Esther can answer those questions when she comes back on. But I think you get the idea how important the work of doulas are. Which me personally, I was not really used to that until now that I'm listening to all that information that she's providing. But that's just wonderful. So please share this live. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hopefully she's gonna jump back on before my phone does something crazy here. All right, we're gonna give it a few minutes. I don't see any questions from the little the my window, the small window that I have. I don't see. Oh, her phone cut off. Okay. All right. Will you be able to jump back on? Even if she doesn't jump back on, I think she provided a lot of information to us tonight, and we are so grateful to have had her with us to cover this topic of. Okay, she's trying to log back on. Let's wait a couple of moments so she can at least conclude and give us her last thoughts. Okay, we're gonna give it a couple of moments, but I think it's very important that that type of information is provided to you on a weekly basis, which is why we do Thursday night lives. Okay, mpa kwen nan seulement spirituel gen moun ki telman spirituel yo pa utile sou terre. It's just even a conversation, an intelligent conversation the person cannot carry because they are so spiritual. Mpa kwen nan sa. So c'est ça que fait nous porter Thursday Night Live. And we thank you for your encouragement, because many times I see you guys send me texts, you direct messenger me. Pastor Sarah, we enjoy the lives. You don't only focus on the spiritual aspect, you also focus on the social aspect, educational aspect. All right. So I appreciate your encouragement. Please share the live tonight. And I believe I'm just gonna end it. I'll give it another second. Yeah. Hopefully she will. Yes. Okay. Miguelin is saying Miguelin is saying that the doula really helped. Have you had any experience with a doula, Miguelin? Have you had a doula during your birth, your childbirth, or after your childbirth? Okay, so Manushka La14 is saying they always say it is best to have your baby in your 20s or in your 30s. Do you also help in late pregnancy, 40 or 50s? Wow, that's a great question. And I think she's back on. Let me see if I can put her on, guys, with my device here. Stream.
Hey, sorry about that.
Yay!
Can you hear me?
She's
Sorry, you
back.
guys.
All right. Thank you for jumping back on. So we have a great question here. Manushka is saying that it's best to have babies in 20s and 30s. Do you also help in late pregnancy, 40s and 50s? That's a great question. Go ahead, Esther.
So my oldest client was 44 years old. 40 years old. And so you already know anything before 35, they quote consider
Esther,
a
I think the
higher
sound is
maternal
not too
age.
good. Your sound is not too good. I'm
And
not sure what you did different, but you're breaking up a little bit. And you're freezing. I think you froze. Essayez parler
uh-oh.
encore.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Consider moms 35 plus to be higher risk. Most OBs would, unless you have an OB who's used to it and okay with it. Midwives, I've worked with a midwife who's delivered moms over 40 years old, and my oldest client was 44 years old. Okay,
Okay.
so it's possible.
Wow. 44 years old, and she gave
Mhm.
birth naturally.
Yes. Once they get to a certain age, honestly, it's like their bodies are ready to do it. We've been
Their
waiting for
body
this.
what?
Their bodies are ready to do it. Like they've been waiting to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So that was not too difficult.
No,
Okay. So you can help people in their 40s or 50s giving birth.
no
Okay.
problem.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for coming to this platform, and you've shared a lot of information, new information, personally to me, and I am grateful to have learned from you. And we wish you all the success that you can have in your career. May God be with you, and anytime there's new development, anything that you do want to come back and share with us, feel free to contact Broken But Not Wasted Ministries, and you come on and you do your thing, okay?
Thank you so much, Sarah.
All
This
right,
is
thank you. Any
a pleasure.
last thoughts?
Oh, last thoughts. I mean, please don't let this be the last time you see my face. I would hope we can connect at some point. I can definitely drop in the chat where you can find me. You can find my business from my agency online. You can also
Yes.
search at I Doula for me, and you'll see me all over the internet. Okay, and
Yes.
that's
They
Doula D.
can search for what. I'm sorry, I don't have my computer to
Okay,
put it on the screen. So
hmm
where they can
it's
find, where can they find you?
at I Can Doula. If you search I Can and then DOULA, all one word, I Can Doula, you'll find me everywhere. You'll find my website, you'll find me on IG, on Facebook, LinkedIn,
Okay.
YouTube, where, okay?
I can doula,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Yes.
You guys, now I'm receiving that my battery is getting low. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
time to jump off. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks again. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on. Again, you did great, and it was a wonderful hour for Thursday Night Live. 7:30. It's Thursday Night Live. Thank you so much, Esther, Miss Gunn.
Thank
And again, if you want to contact her, go to our website. I can doula. ICANDOULA, and you'll
you.
find Esther McCant. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Esther MAMCCANT
Yeah.
McCant. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And you guys, m'attend nous demain matin à 6 heures pour un lot. Hopefully, I'm gonna work on that business of computer that was giving me trouble. I will be here at 6 o'clock for prayer. OK, pour continuer sous thème hôtel là que nous commençons au mois de juin. Very, very, very important. Esther, I'm inviting you to check it out. Go on YouTube, my broadcast in the morning. Okay, you
Okay.
can go to the last one that I did on Wednesday. I usually come on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning to do prayer and meditation of the Word of God. So you're more than welcome to go to that and check it out. You'll be blessed. I believe that you will be blessed. Thank you so much. You guys, I'll wait for you at 6 o'clock. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you. May he give you his grace. May the Lord turn his face towards you and may he give you his peace. And I'll see you next Thursday, you guys. Have a wonderful night. Again, sir. God
Bye.
bless you.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.